I watched a video about women who are upset, I guess, at their status being mothers. If you guys see me moving and wobbling a lot, it's because I'm sitting on my Bosu ball because I'm having trouble with my pain today. They were describing how they regret having kids or how they genuinely dislike being mothers. Now, you guys know that my perspective on that is I don't have a maternal instinct and I don't want kids. I have never wanted kids. And the reason being, I know I'm not suitable for it. I'm not interested in it. And on top of that, I don't have the resources to do that. Like, I don't have money. I can hardly take care of myself because I lack resources. And on top of that, physically, I undoubtedly have my limitations now, which I predicted decades ago would get in the way of my performance slash productivity, but I just didn't know how young it would hit me. But I'm not surprised considering my family history. So I'm not utterly shocked, but I guess I've been more expressive about it more than my family ever has been. So had I heard it from them, I feel like I would have walked into the future a little better prepared. When it comes to women expressing themselves like that, I observe that some people are very quick to call the woman vile and horrible and those things. And these women, most of them emphasize the fact that they genuinely like and love their kids. They're expressing themselves not against the kids themselves as people. They're expressing the frustration of what it means to be a mother when you have the responsibility of children. And they didn't actively say this, but I am going to say it on their behalf. When you don't have the support that you need to sustain that. And that's not something that you guys have never heard me describe in here. It is no different from when you have a career that's going to be very demanding and you need to find someone who is as crazy as you are to indulge in that adventure with you and through thick and thin stand by you. And that is hard to achieve because understandably not everybody is going to be suitable for that, and people have a right to not be okay with certain circumstances and conditions. So I'm going to read to you the comments that I left on that channel because I feel like since I wrote it down, I had my thought flowing better. And I thought I would share with you guys that I tuned into something like that and to revive the topic in here because I feel like it's something that deserves to be discussed. The birth rate is not on the decline by accident. And I think that people's reasons are very valid. But I just think that there are some folks who can't really embrace that because I guess their circumstances were different, or maybe they don't have any issues with enduring those things out of selflessness. But you also gotta understand that, again, not everybody can do that. The idea of being selfless is a pretty good one. It's a little romantic, even, but just so you know, it's not fair to expect that out of everybody. So, anyways, here I go. I said, I think the problem, similar to having a medical career, is that people fall in love with the idea of the glamour and prestige that your status as a parent, doctor, etc., is supposed to award you. And what I mean by that is that, for instance, how often have you heard anybody describing the sheer horror that actually giving birth is? Why do people opt for cesarean sections? It's as if, for instance, your natural tunnel delivery is not even preferred anymore because some women can't handle it. They feel like it'll be a threat to their health because some people are not fit enough to deliver a baby naturally, and they have to resort to a surgical method of retrieving the baby. So as modern women, we have become detached from how we give birth. Imagine if that wasn't an option. What would we do? We would have to truly endure the pain of childbirth. When you go through the process and discover that isn't it, you never recover from the disappointment, especially if you're not astute with your resources nor skilled at managing the change in your life. And what I mean by that is exactly what it sounds like. When you have a child, it changes your life, and you're supposed to become that selfless person. It's no longer about you, but as a living, breathing human being, I think you're entitled to living your life. I don't think that a child should come into the world and ruin that for you. Because for a lot of people, once they have the kid, if you want to do a good job at being a parent, that means life is over for you. And I sincerely don't understand that sacrificial attitude. I can understand that in the bug kingdom. Like, freaking mama centipedes, they be literally handing their body over so that their babies eat it all up, gobble her up to make sure that they have their first meal guaranteed. But as human beings, that's not us. That's not what we do. So some people can do that. Some people can be selfless and completely devote to the kid. But consider this: if you let go of taking care of yourself in the name of religiously taking care of your children, and you have to do that for 18 years, what do you think you neglecting yourself is going to do to you? Because you're not invincible, because you're mortal, and you also have genetics acting against you. If you neglect yourself, your care, your body, in the future, you're going to be charged for that. Like the bill that you'll receive from life for not having taken care of your body during your better years, that's coming. And I don't think it's fair for you to expect for a woman to become selfless and take her showers at almost midnight so that she gets up at 5 a.m. to be at her job at 6 or 7, and then somehow the kids gotta be all put together and everything. It's gonna cost her something. And it's usually going to be her self care. I don't need you to be caring for yourself in the diva way. Like, you need to have your hair and the nails and all that done. Forget it. Once you're a parent, that shouldn't even be in your mind. But I'm saying your physical body, your mind, you need a break from noise. You need a break from stressors. Children demanding your attention is a stressor, even if it's the beautiful one, because this is your bundle of joy and pride, and you need to serve your children. Again, that is a stressor. You have the stressor of the job. You have the stressor of your children. You have the stressor of your home management. And especially in an age when it is so hard to hold down a relationship that's actually productive, there's mutual support, and not, well, the man works, he comes home, and because he worked, he's not expected to really do much, to really do anything. But for some reason, it's acceptable for the woman to have to go to work to make ends meet, because y'all need to make it the extra money, because one income no longer suffices. You cannot expect for every woman to land a person with the most impressive salary ever, right? And then for some reason, it's acceptable for the woman to have to work double or triple, and a lot of that is not even paid. To summarize the issue with these women, it's they are living a severe imbalance, and they are expressing that imbalance. But as opposed to being respected and receiving, I don't know, support or empathy, they get criticized. A life of imbalance is an unhealthy life. A life of imbalance leads to issues. Those are the issues we are observing these women manifesting. They don't even hate the kids. They hate the act of serving the kids because of what it means for them overall. They don't get to recover from that in a healthy way. Fix that imbalance, and you will see these women's attitudes improve. Try it. So, I understand why some women feel overwhelmed. They express themselves like they don't love maternity because it sucks when you don't have support. And if you don't happen to be naturally someone who's like organized, skilled, and astute, this is going to eat you the fuck up, because you'll feel like it's just one tragedy after another, after another, after another. Your home is never in order. It is okay for that to frustrate you and to traumatize you, because you were raised and bred to be organized. You observed your parents, they had their shit together. But comparing your performance to your parents is not fair when the economy was different, the way that the family structure existed was different. So I think that the modern woman expressing this shouldn't be condemned. It should be listened to with empathy. And if there's something within your grasp, your reach, within your line of sight that you can do to help, just shut up and help. I wish I could do it. There are some ways that I wish I could support some of the mothers I know in my life. There's not really a whole lot I can do, but if the opportunity arises, I do it. Like I was sharing with you guys the other day how I loaned my literal car to a mother. It cost me nothing. I also said perhaps a gradual transition into such roles with lots of mentoring would facilitate you embracing the new role and chapter. And what I mean by that is maybe if you are someone who's interested in genuinely parenting, you have to do the legwork of literally interviewing people who are parents already, or even talk to a professional, which I don't blame you if you can't because that shit is always expensive, but discuss what it means to have your life changed by a child, from how you're going to have to shop, how you're going to have to feed them, how you're going to have to juggle their medical appointments, how this is going to restrict you at your job, how long you can expect to be out of commission with some things, your physical recovery, how long does that take? How do you plan for that? If you don't have family close by, what do you do? If you have family nearby, how do you assign roles for them? And how do you ensure that they can commit to it as well? Because it seems like in the beginning, everybody hears about your pregnancy and they're like, oh, I'm gonna spoil that baby, this and that. Or when the child is born, is the baby's really cute, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna support you and all that. But guess what? Those adults also have an adult life going on for them. And maybe their life changes and then their assistance falls through. What do you do if your resources begin to dip out on you? How do you plan for that? Get oriented, pretty much. The more oriented you are, the better. And if you have a parent that you have a close relationship with, especially them, start interviewing the shit out of them to figure out how to make this work. That's what I would do. I also said, in addition, you as an individual need to find it in you to humiliate yourself and accept that you don't know everything nor are good at everything, to accept helping yourself and or receiving help from others. And what I mean by that is that some women, and I can understand this because I feel like that would be my instinct. You can be pretty territorial. You don't want to have your intelligence insulted. You don't want to feel like you're negligent. For instance, if someone were to try to give you advice on your children on how to parent, you probably wouldn't take kindly to that. Or if there is something that you could be doing better, are you prepared to hear that criticism? Because some people can be very sensitive about that. Some people can be very sensitive about their parenting style and they defend it. And even if you get the most life-changing advice possible, you're rejected because you're offended by what the person giving you the advice is telling you. You have to humiliate yourself, humble yourself, and the more ignorant you behave acting toward a situation, even if you feel like you know what to expect and you know everything, it's just better for you if you behave like you don't know anything. Even if it's your second or third child, just be like, what is this second child going to teach me? What is the third child going to teach me? Because there's always something that's going to be different from every experience. And you cannot expect for the formula that worked, or maybe didn't work for you the first time, to be applied the second and third time, because you're going to have the same disastrous outcome, or you're going to have a completely different outcome that you're going to have to plan again for. Change your plans, just like teachers and planning. They plan for their day to go one way, something happens and it derails the whole plan. That is why orientation is vital. So yeah, you guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm not trying to present myself like I'm the voice of reason and like I have the best answer or whatever. I'm just trying to, as opposed to just sitting there and being appalled that these people opine that way about their kids, which I understand the consequences this can have on the child if they were to hear this coming from the parents. I would challenge that child to be like I was when I was like a preteen and teenager. I started asking my questions. I started diving into my parents and evaluating them a little closer, and I got pushed away a lot. I got rejected a lot. It definitely opened up some wounds for some people, I guess. But because I asked those questions and I didn't give up at finding my answer, that's why I developed into, I guess, growing up too soon. But on the plus side, I grew up in a way to where I didn't have my mind messed up to where I had to resort to other avenues of escape. And I think the sooner you develop that, the ability to not be offended by what people confront you with or by you feeling like confronting somebody, the better life is going to go for you. So start asking your questions, and don't forget that unfortunately, the reality of being a human is that you are a transaction, you are a bill, you are a stress. Don't take it personal. Don't look at it as, oh, I am a waste to this world and I am just a burden. You do represent a burden because the adults in your life have to plan for you, accommodate you, and they all try to do that behind the scenes, quietly and discreetly, to not offend you or hurt your feelings. But one day you're going to have to grow up and mature and realize that your existence costs people. And it sucks. I wouldn't want to think of humanity in that manner myself, but it is the truth. You cost money, and money is something that adults have to stress out over. Don't be offended. You unfortunately were turned into a product, not by your parents, not by your family. It was by stupid people in power who you didn't have a say over electing. The sooner you make peace with that, the better. I'm aware of it. I know how much I cost my mom. I know how much I stressed her out. I can admit that. In the same manner, I can admit how her reaction to that fact affected me here and there. And that's why I can share it here publicly so comfortably. Get to that point. Get to the point where you're not offended by going over this stuff. And I promise you, it'll work out for you. Okay, that's it. Bye.